But why did you start this? Like the whole project for like, because it's been going on for a long time now. Why did you start it?
I started it because I got to grow. The Morgan County that I grew up in was super cool, and the chamber was really strong, and we had festivals, and you knew everybody around. And life happens then, right? So I ended up at a point in this county where I am a single mom with 3 little kids. I have virtually no job prospects. My parents are my childcare. And this county looked way different. And it's like, what do you do when you don't have means? What do you do when you don't have resources? Because we all, like, fact after fact after fact, after school and activities are good for kids. There's no disputing that. But what do you do when you can't afford them? And what do you do when you can't get your kids there? So I started it out. I mean, I used to tell people, like, I started this out so my kids would have someplace to go. And then we just kept going.
Where did you start it?
We started in Brush.
Okay.
We were way back in the day on the corner of Edison and Main Street in Brush, where Cornerstone is now. We had a dance studio in there. And we made it a state-of-the-art dance studio with a spring floor and Marley covering and big mirrors, and we brought down Canyon Concert Ballet, and we took kids up to Colorado Ballet to see real live dance. And then we would take them every year to the Nutcracker, because most of the kids that are low income, it's not like their family goes to the Nutcracker every year. Yeah. We actually, my 40th birthday, we took 80 kids to the Nutcracker in Fort Collins. A blizzard sets in the middle of the performance, and we ended up coming back in a blizzard. It was not my plan for a birthday celebration, but we all survived, so it ended up being pretty special.
Made it work.
Yeah.
So it started like as a dance kind of studio thing.
We started as a dance studio because every little girl wants to be a ballerina, right? But you can't always afford being a ballerina. So it took us about 6 months before we realized, what about the boys that want to be tumblers or tap dancers, or they want to do something besides dance? And a sliding scale is sometimes too much for a family, and it doesn't matter if you have a kid that wants to do something in Wiggins and we're in Brush and you can't get them there. So that's where we started going mobile, and we started reaching out to Wiggins, Weldona, all these other places that don't get anything. Because back in the day, nobody was going to those areas. And then we started bringing in art, and we started bringing in speech, and we started bringing in all these just different enrichment activities. The more you know, the better you are, right? We had kids that made ornaments for the White House one year. And then we'd actually tried to stay out of Fort Morgan because Fort Morgan had some after-school programs back then. But then we realized, people are notorious for starting things, and then they're like, oh, we're out of money, sorry. And you can't do that to kids. You've got to be consistent. And so now we've got like 9 summer meal sites across the county, and we reach out to the high schools and the junior high, and we go to where the kids are so they don't have to worry about transportation. And then the really cool thing that we've found is, like, if you're renting a house in Wiggins and you go to our program in Wiggins, but then your family gets a better deal in Brush and you move to Brush, then you can just go to our program in Brush. Okay. It stays consistent, so we are where the kids are, and they don't have to give up anything.
How hard was it, like, starting out? Because we talked about it last week that, like, most businesses fail, like most small businesses fail within like the first 3 weeks, and like businesses, like, after a certain amount of like time or a certain amount of revenue they hit like a point where they just stop growing. Like a nonprofit is essentially like a business. You just don't make like the extra profits to do all the other stuff. Like how hard was it? Because I imagine it's pretty hard.
I gotta tell you, if I was gonna do it again, I don't know if I would.
Really?
I mean, I was a single mom back then. I needed better for my kids. I needed better for my kids' friends. I needed better for those kids in the trailer park that didn't have anything. But and this is where everybody gets confused. A nonprofit is a business, and when you don't run it like a business, you don't have a nonprofit anymore.
That's why they disappear. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But the difference is, instead of the profits going to shareholders, the profits go back in to make the business stronger.